Hi, I'm Vinny, and this is Wednesday Wisdom. This is a weekly show where we take time out of our busy schedules to reach out to people who might be really depressed, really stressed out, or just stuck in a rut and need extra motivation. Now, before we go any further, I want to give you guys an opportunity to hit the subscribe button and ring that bell to be notified so you never miss another episode of Wednesday Wisdom as well as other additional HVMA content. Now, my motivation for this week, my words of wisdom that I'll bestow upon you is simple. Give employees the chance to vent. Now, I know this is an extremely broad statement, so I'm going to tell you what I mean by this. When I say give your employees the chance to vent, the first thing that I want to clarify, so there's no misunderstandings of any kind, is that when I say that, I mean verbally. Let your employees verbally vent about what's wrong with them. Obviously, if God forbid, a employee is venting and things get physical, you need to shut that down immediately. You have to. You don't have a choice because you want to make sure nothing gets broken, nobody gets hurt. So obviously, verbally talk. Don't let them do anything physical, Unless you're one of those offices that has a punching bag in the break room, in which case, give them some boxing gloves, let them knock that around a bit. But other than that, you want to keep it verbal, always verbal. Now, the second thing I want to clarify is that when I say give your employees the chance to vent, what I mean is create an environment where employees are allowed to speak their mind, where they're allowed to express whatever might be wrong with them, whether it's something, at home, whether it's something at work, wherever. Let your employees have a space where they can do that. And because obviously if you work in a department store, or you work in a restaurant, or you work somewhere where there's customers and clients coming in and out of the building, obviously you don't want your employees venting where the customers can hear them. You don't want to put somebody in that situation where people are saying stuff and customers hear it and it makes them uncomfortable or whatever, and I know this because I've had moments like that myself. I'm not talking at you, I'm talking with you on this. So again, personal experience is coming into play here. Obviously, you don't want to be in a situation like that. So at the same time, though, you don't want to have an employee who's so frustrated and full of rage that when they finally explode, they could care less if the customer hears them or not. And I know this because I used to be that angry employee way back in the day. So you want to find that balance. So in this case, what you want to do is use a place like the break room, for example, and make that a place where employees can vent about anything and everything. Whether it's something going on at work or something going on outside of work. Let them have that, and I hate using this term, but I got to use it in this case. Let them have that, really pains me to say this, but I'm going to say it. Have that safe space, there I said it, oh God, I'm going to hate myself in the morning, to get everything off of their chest so that way when they go back to work, back out on the restaurant, back out on the sales floor, back to their desk, wherever they're working, they can be more calm and productive because they got it off their chest. They said what they needed to say. It's not bottling up for 8 plus hours. So, also, here's another tip. If you can clearly see that an employee is on the verge of snapping, because there are employees that are able to, keep it together. Like you can see it on their face that they're angry, but they're not saying anything, they're not doing anything, they're just doing the job and focusing on the task at hand, so you have to think about the stuff that's making them angry. So those type of employees are stubborn and will never tell you that they're mad because they're afraid that if they show that, you'll think less of them. That's a genuine fear that most employees have. So if you happen to just see that, if you happen to notice that, see any of those signs, any of those red flags of any kind, if you can clearly see that they're, holding it together for the sake of the customer, jump on in. Let them go in the back and cool off. Just kind of be like, don't even make it known. Just be like, hey, I think you need to go in the back for a second and cool off. And if they try to say, no, I'm okay, it's like, no, I insist. Just, hey, I can see something's wrong with you. Just go cool off for a couple minutes and, well, I'll even take it. And even offer to say, hey, I'll take care of this for you real quick. Just let them have a couple minutes, and, it's a way of showing that you care, and It shows that you care about your employees and what they are going through. Because, anybody that can, anybody that has a boss that cares, it makes them work more because it shows that they're valued and they're appreciated. So it's a very, very important tool to have, and it's a lot more valuable than most people think. Now, if you're in an office building, obviously you want to run things a little differently. For example, most of the time in an office building, it's just the employees and bosses in the building. So unless you have a current or potential client in the building that's like coming in for a meeting, the entire building should be a place for venting and having fun, because it's just you and the workers, like I said, obviously if there's clients or somebody important in there, you got to keep your cool, but other times you can laugh, have a good time, and talk about stuff, and just, that way it doesn't even become venting, it just becomes shooting the breeze at that point, Now, of course, you have to make sure work is getting done as well. You got to have that happy middle ground, obviously. As a boss, you got to make sure the employees are focusing on the task at hand, they're getting the things done. But creating an environment where employees can speak their mind creates a more healthy and stable work environment because nothing is bottled up. So they can actually focus better on the tasks at hand. Now, of course, this works primarily with outside work issues. Because even though technically we're supposed to leave those problems at the door, they say, check it at the door, there are some cases where the stress is too much for us to do that. Sometimes you have a problem and you can just kind of be like, I can deal with it later. But then you got other problems that are just on your mind no matter what. Even if you're at a job that you love, there can be things outside of work that are still kind of irritating you a little bit, and it's hard sometimes to leave them at the door. So to have that environment works, because in some cases, like I said, the stress can be too much, and having to hold on to it for an entire workday can do more harm than good. And in fact, it can also affect the work of your employees because all they're thinking about is what's making them angry. They're not even thinking about what they're supposed to be doing. So they have that opportunity to kind of be like, hey, let me get this off my chest for a minute. Hey, and all you can do is, hey, man, I understand. We all go through this. Be encouraging. And they'll be like, all right, I got that off my chest. And they're right back to work. Now, as far as inside work issues go, I think this is a good idea because you want to know what your employees think, and I'm going to use a term here. You want to know what your employees think sucks around here. What doesn't make sense, or what makes their day harder than it needs to be. And that's why when you ask questions like, does this annoy you? Anything else you want to share? Because if the majority of your employees are stressed or unhappy at work, then obviously something is wrong within your company. And as a boss, it is your duty to find out what those problems are. And the only real honest way you're going to find out is to give your employees a chance to vent. Because everybody's had a job where you and a bunch of coworkers have sat around and there's been like work policies or something going on that's just annoying and irritating. We've all had jobs like that. And if you're a boss at a job, you know that you've either made policies like that without knowing it was going to upset people, or you're a boss that's like, had to enforce something because word came down from corporate or something. And that way people can understand, like, why are you making us do this? Hey, word came down from corporate. There's nothing I can do. It shows that you're with your employees. Like, you say, hey, I'm here for you. I'm with you. As long as you're producing, I'll take care of you. Stuff like that. Because here's the thing. No matter how cool of a boss you may portray yourself to be, the water cooler conversations, they still take place. And no matter how hard you try, there are still some things about your business that are bothersome and irritate your employees. And the question is, why would you want this to continue? Annoyance turns into frustration, and the next thing you know, your employees are seriously unhappy, and guess who feels it? Your customers. So why not address the issue? And if it's something that you can realistically fix it. If it's something that you can't fix because it's a strict policy, or again, word came down from corporate, you tell them. That's not what there's nothing I can do about that. And if they're still upset, they can leave. So having those conversations, having that dialogue helps out a lot. And if employees know that they can come to you with a problem, it makes them more comfortable at their job. They want to know that the boss they're working for is friendly and approachable. I mean, again, you still got to be a boss. You still got to delegate. You still got to give out tasks. They still have to do what you tell them to do. But you want to make sure that you can, if there's a problem and you can realistically solve it, solve it. It's very simple, and you got to address the issues. Get the irritants out of the way. And as leaders, provide the forum for people to vent. Because when people vent, they're not always looking for a solution to a problem. Sometimes they are, and if they do, provide one and talk it out. But sometimes they're just blowing off steam. And the best thing you can do for someone in that moment is let them know that you hear them and you understand that they're angry. But never, ever, 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 ever say, I feel you or I can relate. Don't say that. Just say, I understand your frustration. That's all you gotta say. And then when they're calm, you're willing to sit down with them and help them solve the problem if it's work related. Like if it's a work related problem, just tell them, hey, when you're calm, I'm willing to sit down with you and talk about anything, and we'll have a productive conversation. Just let them get the anger out, and then once they're calm and they can talk to them. This is the type of communication that builds trust, forms communities, and ultimately breaks down fear. Because if your employees believe that you are friendly and approachable, they are more likely to feel comfortable coming to work, doing their job, and thus productivity increases. Now, at this point, employees are watching this video right now and they are cheering me on. They're like, go Vinny, go get him. Well, now I'm at this is the part where some of them are going to turn on me right now. Because even though I'm encouraging bosses to create this environment, it is important for the employees, now it's your turn to get in the hot seat, to never, ever, under any circumstances of any kind, abuse this privilege. Look at me. Listen to Vinny. Do not abuse this privilege. Matter of fact, after you don't watch this video, go to your bathroom, or if you got a mirror on your phone, look in a mirror and repeat the words. I will not abuse this privilege. I will not abuse this privilege. Say it again and again till it's ingrained in your head. I'm being serious right now. Super serial. Because there are a lot of times where great things are created to help employees relieve stress, and there's always some douchebag that abuses it to the point where the boss gets upset and takes it away from everyone. So while I'm telling bosses to allow employees to have this opportunity, it is up to the employees to police themselves and make sure this privilege doesn't get taken away by someone who complains for no reason or says highly inappropriate things because he thinks he can, because he's venting. No, don't do that. But this issue aside, giving employees a chance to vent in the long run will help your business grow. Because if there are problems within your company, you'll be able to solve them. And if there aren't, then the employee just needs to blow off steam regarding something else. Giving them that chance will allow them to keep working with a level head, which will allow them to be successful. And if the employees are successful, the company is successful, which in turn means you are successful. And that, ladies and gentlemen, will wrap up Wednesday Wisdom for this week. I thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button and ring that bell to be notified so you never miss another episode of Wednesday Wisdom, as well as other additional HVMA content. Check back soon for a new episode, and until then, stay social.